Okay, everybody, back again for a third installment. So today, what I decided to do was tie a pattern that I recently posted. It's been a while since I tied it, until recently, of course. I can't even remember where it was that I came up with the pattern, or when it was. Where, of course, was in Labrador many years ago, or a number of years ago. And it's I call it the Bunny Zonker. Not a creative name, I know, but it utilizes a bunny strip, sort of a zonker, not really a zonker profile, not really, but anyway, that's the name it is right now. That's the name it stuck. It comes in a bunch of different colors. If you haven't already seen it posted or on my site, I don't have all the colors here tied. I'm lacking a few materials. The one we'll do today is in a tan version. The more popular ones are in tan and olive, and also doing a brown as well, which I haven't come up with yet for a color scheme. But the tan, if you can see it here, is a pretty decent color. And it also, I do it in white, barred white, black. Again, nice. I like the profile of these flies, and I'll get to that in a second when I get into material selection. They're pretty bushy, of course. When you're looking at them like this, when they get wet, they slim down quite a bit, of course. But there was some evolution in materials first when I started tying these, and in recent years, with the availability of more varied materials, of course, your patterns keep changing. That's the beauty thing about these flies. You can adapt them and change them according to the materials that are available to you. And the latest change that I made was with this, what you see on the side here, which is no more than sculpin feathers, but it's barred sculpin. And I've only found one source of it. It comes from Montana Fly Company. I do have some of it on the site. You can purchase through the shop. I'm out of a number of colors now because, again, I'm using it to tie up a few orders. It comes in a few different colors, and I'll get into it in a second when I get to that material. But it is a really nice material, and it works really well for this fly. I find it gives you that mottled effect, which is the red, of course, is again one of my favorites, and you'll see me use this quite a bit. It's the Senio's laser dub, combined with the rubber, and then the rabbit strip, and then the barred marabou with lots of movement, and of course the eyes, which the eyes are a Spirit River product, which is Real Eyes, they're called, or Real Eyes Plus. I don't think Spirit River actually exists anymore, but I believe they're bought out by Hairline. But if anybody out there can correct me on that, please do so. But they are still available, and they come in a couple of 3 or 4 different colors. That particular one's a pearl, and then of course on the tan version I showed you earlier, that's a yellow. They also come in a red, which is nice, and I use the red on the black version, and the black is a nice pattern too. And a few different sizes, anywhere from 7/32, which this is the bigger size. And I got a spot in mind for these. It's a fairly large eyes, as you can see. And I can't remember how far down they are. The ones I use are 3/16, and then one size below that as well. I can actually show you that. Where it is? Yeah, right here. So it's 5/32, 7/32 there. I got these in reverse. 7/32, of course, is the larger size. I just haven't put it in not in the right order. And then 3/16. Then you got like I say, you got there's the 5/32 size. That's a smaller version. And again, I use that on, say, a number 6. I'm not sure if you can see that on the camera or not. Just as a matter of note, these containers that you might be wondering about, you can get these at Michael's, I believe is where I bought them. Great containers for eyes. So a nice little tip here for anybody that's wondering how to keep their eyes. I find them really good to come in a container like this. I don't know if you can still get them. come in a box like that with a bunch of different ones, and I sort these out according to color and size, and I have a few other ones there, different types of eyes and stuff. So I find them very good, very nice little storage container. Okay, so without getting too far ahead of myself, and we'll get going. So like I said, tan is the one we're going to do today. I'll put the white aside there for now. And yeah, so anyway, so that's on a number 4. And the hooks I use for these is a TMC hook, heavy wire TMC straight eyes, a 9395. So the hook is a number 4. I use these quite a bit, and this type of pattern, a few other patterns I use, and also in a lot of my tandem streamers, and all my tandem streamers actually, I use this as a rear hook. I got into using it. It's as you can see, it's a really heavy wire, and the straight eye really appeals to me in certain patterns. So anyway, that's the one we're going to use. So we'll get going. So the thread I use is a UTC 140, and I match the body color. So in this case, it's tan. Or the profile, the overall color of the fly, I should say. The body is not quite tan. But I match the head color to the overall color of the strip mainly, when I can. And for the most part, I think the patterns I do have, I'm able to match the threads. So tan. So UTC 140 and tan. So the eyes on these are placed slightly behind the eye of the hook. Don't crowd it too much, because you won't leave yourself enough room then to tie off the rabbit strip. So leave yourself maybe an eye width back. Lay down a small base of thread. And you want to go in there. So there's lots of videos out there on how to tie these eyes in. They're pretty straightforward. Not a whole lot to it. I just kind of wrap it in place to make sure it stays there for now. And try to position them. I think that's pretty good there. It gives me plenty of room. So the UTC 40 is fairly strong, which you need. When you're trying to wrap these eyes down, you want to pull pretty tight. So I crisscross here for the first few, and then I figure 8. And then what I do is I wrap around the base and give it a tight haul. Now I rotate these eyes around the bottom, because if I left it like this, then the hook will hook up. Which again, some of the patterns I have, not this particular one of course, but some of the patterns I have, I purposely do that for the hook to ride up. So I put the eyes on the top, leave them on the top, sorry. But in this case, I want the hook to ride as it is here now, in which case I'll flip these eyes over. And I'll flip this over again and just give it a few more wraps to be sure. And I'll just tie this off. Oops. Okay. So take these out, make sure they're lined up. Eyes lined up. That's pretty good. And then I zap-a-gap, or in this case here, Z-mend, or brush on Z-mend, or brush on zap-a-gap, I find to be most convenient. And coat those. Okay. So that's the eyes. I'm gonna let that one put aside. I got some more. Yeah. That should be okay. We'll give it a go anyway. Hook back in the vise. Okay. Bring your thread right up. basically opposite your point. Excuse me. The tail on this fly is marabou, but it's not standard marabou, it's barred marabou. Again, an MFC product, as you probably know by now. I kind of like these MFC products. They are pricey, but they're fantastic quality. You can get other brands, I'm sure, of the barred marabou. I just happen to like this particular one. And again, you can get them the color to match the overall color scheme of your fly. In this case here, it's the tan black. So I use two blood quills. You can see here. It's probably two I got hollered there. Yep. That's two there. You can see how wispy they are. And a really nice modeling on them, of course, for these flies. Get this down a bit. The other one is a barred buggerboo, I believe it's called. It's just a shorter version. I've used that as well in a pinch. Either one of them works fine. I find. But I had this stuff. I had the regular marabou on hand, so I'll use this today. Tails, length of the body, basically right from the back of the eye right up to the tip, or opposite the point shirt. So again, transfer that up. Pull loose wraps. Tighten this down. Nice and tight. And you can wrap this in up the hook shank. I don't add extra weight on this fly, although you could if you wanted to. I traditionally haven't. Nothing wrong with it. You could wrap lead over the hook shank if you wanted to, and then of course tie your body over that if you wanted extra weight. These eyes are fairly heavy, so I don't normally bother. Okay, so crush all this down. Nice and tight. Leave the thread slightly back from the tail. I'll show you why now. So on the tail, I also use flash material. You can get this as it comes in. A couple of different people make it. It's called Creelix. It goes by a couple of other names, but I think originally this is the MSC Creelix, but there is a couple of other names out there that it goes by. This is copper. You can get it in multiple colors. I really like it. It's really flimsy. I use quite a bit of it actually. Again, it's personal preference how much you want to use here. But you know, it has a lot of uses and comes a bunch of different colors. So maybe a half a dozen or more strands. And again, put it on one side of the tail. Wrap it in. Come back. And then on the opposite side. Okay, that's it. I usually trim this off slightly longer than the tail. Okay. Next is the rabbit strip. Again, nothing fancy, just these particular ones are in tan and they're actually on a card. It's a full hide. It's just more economical to buy them this way if you're tying commercially, or tying any amount of patterns. They're about 1/8 of an inch wide, and again they're barred, so you can get, this is barred tan, sorry, it's barred tan, you can get barred olive and various other colors, rusted. A few colors you can't get in this kind of quantity. You have to buy it by the package, but there is a number of colors that you can get buying it this way. I usually trim off the first little bit here. I find it pretty flimsy at times. So you want your strip to go from the tip of your tail right back. And again, leave yourself a bit of room so beyond the eye. Here's fine. And most of the time I do taper the tails on these. It's up to yourself. I don't know if it really makes any difference, but okay. So kind of judge where your thread is in relation to the strip, and you want to bind this down with that olive or with that tan thread. And there you go. And again, this is where your stronger UTC 140 comes in handy. You really lash this down good. Good. Okay, bring your thread ahead. Just push your tail or push your rabbit strip back a bit out of your way if you want. You can put a clip on there if you want to, but this stuff normally stays back pretty good. So your body is tied in two parts. One is a cactus chenille body, and then is wrapped over with schlapin. What I had noted at the beginning is this video, and I'll get into that in a second. So the first thing you tie in is your schlapin, actually. And again, the schlapin is a barred. Like I said before, it's a barred schlapin. You could use other types. You could use solid if you want, or a solid color. You could also use grizzly schlapin or grizzly hackle, the back end or the wide hackles on your grizzly capes, if you haven't got no use for them or whatever. But I find this, and this is the only, like I said, this is the one of the fewer sources I've seen for this type of barred material. It's got a really definitive barring, and it comes in a couple of, I think you can get it finer as well, although I like this one better. The schlapin is nice and long, as you'll see here. And it also has this sort of fluff at the end, and why I like that is on particular patterns like this, and they're on other patterns as well. It really adds body bulk to the fly and adds movement to the fly. This particular pattern, really the schlapin is really what does it, I think. It fills out the body, it gives you that movement, and like I said, it really made the difference. So I kind of judge so that when I'm wrapping, I do end up into this material here by the time I get to the eyes. So I don't want to tie it too far up into the tip, of course, and then I got the whole thing wrapped really, really tight. I don't want that. I want fairly large gaps in between to pick up the cactus chenille. I'll show you that in a second. So, I don't know, around a couple of inches back. Just tie that in. Like I said, you don't have to be too fancy with this and too particular. That's the beauty thing about these larger flies like this. It's nothing delicate about these patterns. Okay, you can leave that there if you want. Tie down nice and tight. And as I said, the body is made of the cactus chenille. Again, cactus chenille, this is the product I'm using as a hairline. This comes in a couple of different styles. The normal cactus chenille, I'll call it, comes in a multitude of colors, including UV colors. This particular one is a holographic cactus chenille, and it only comes in 3 or 4 different colors, or 5 different colors, I believe. It's black, and then there's the silver, gold, olive, and a couple other ones, I do believe. The one I'm using on, what I've used for this pattern here is the silver gold. I use it on a couple of other patterns as well. It's fairly big, it's bulky, it's not a pretty material by no means. It also is sort of flat. It's sort of a flat weave. So to get around that, I'll show you that in a second. Make sure you don't tie that in and everything kind of flattens out on you. So So just peel off a bit here. Tie this in underneath. And wrap to just behind the eyes. So you want to finish off roughly a little bit behind the eyes because you got a bit of material to tie in behind the eyes. You don't want to go right up to the eye and build up a lot of bulk coming up in here. So you wrap that forward, and again, as I wrap, I kind of push these fibers back as best I can. It's not going to be perfect, but you can prevent them from being crushed too badly. So every 3 or 4 wraps, I kind of give it a test just to make sure it's laying in there tight enough. That seems to be applying. Okay, looks about right. Tie off on the bottom. Keep that material away from the top. Sneak underneath there by cutting your thread off. Okay, now your slapping goes in. Again, like I said earlier, this is not, you don't have to be too particular with this. And like I said, as you're wrapping it, you can kind of just preen it out a bit so it's not, so you don't end up getting it trapped onto itself, basically. And again, I leave fair bit of distance in between, as you can tell. So you can see the silver gold. And when you get up into here, it's going to become messy, and the stalk is, or the stem, sorry, is fairly big, but it is flexible, and it won't normally break or anything on you, I find. So you can see how I ended up there with that fluff at the end. And again, tie off underneath there. Keep your thread tight. 1, 2. Go underneath here, which is hold that thread out of the way, and clip that off. And just preen these back. That's it. So you can see how that long slapping flows back over the body. So better a little bit. Got my legs. Legs goes in now. You see on the original one that I showed you, I tie 2 legs in on either side. This particular pattern, I use a silly legs, perfectly barred silly legs are called, and the color is a sand. I think they call it a sand color. So let me see. So this is the way it looks all tied together here. You just kind of peel out 2 strips. Now I tie these so that they fall down underneath. So there's really not a whole lot to it. Just tie them in underneath. Give yourself a bunch of wraps here to kind of secure them down. They'll fall to the side there, right? Bring your thread forward, right behind the eyes, or right in front of the eyes, sorry. And what you want to do is you want to bring this rabbit strip over. Okay. There you go. You want to keep them out of your way, them legs. While you're finishing off here, you can. Just use one of these handy clips again. I think I showed you on the last video. Just take the legs, wrap them up around, and put a clip in it. And just clip off your head here. And crush down that little bit of rabbit strip that's left. Okay, we're getting there. So far so good, I think. Think I've missed anything. The only thing left now is the throat or beard, I guess maybe you call it. It looks kind of like a beard. And that's that, like I said, that red Senya's laser dub. Okay, so this is the Senya's laser dub. And it's fairly heavy on this fly, so I use a fair bit of it. Pick out a bunch of it here. And just kind of pull it apart so that all the kind of the fibers get lined up. Makes it easier to tie in. Okay, separate it in two. Go on the backs underneath your hook here. Now, when you tie this in, then you want to fold it over, so it's going to build a bit of a bump here. So you kind of want to start up near the eye. Tie in 1, 2, and as you wrap back, you're going to need to build up a little bit of a, get rid of that little bit of a base there, a little bit of a bump, because you're going to want to ride right up over the throat, or right up over the laser dub to create that head. Fairly bulky head. There we go. That's it. You got her. That's it. Looks pretty good. So we tie that off. Let go your clip. Your legs normally fall back, I don't know, it's personal preference, usually around half the length of the rabbit strip, or half the length of the marabou tail, somewhere in around there. So 2 on that side, and 2 on that side. Let them fall down type thing. The only thing left now, really, and I gotta get my comb. Okay, so what I do here is I comb this beard out a bit. Continue to loose stuff out of there. Just kind of give it a bit of a comb. That's why you want to go a little bit heavier too, because you're going to end up combing out a little bit here. And that's it. So when you're all said and done, you get that nice kind of profile. Your legs are falling out the side, you know, rather than on the top. Not totally underneath. They're sort of on the side, and then they fall down. And then what I normally do is I coat this head either with UV. You don't have to do it with UV if you don't want to. I will today here, but it's really your preference. You can just put regular head cement on here if you wanted to. Should do it, I think. Give it a shot with your UV light. And that's it. We're done. The Bunny Zonker in tan. And like I said, olive is good. Black, It's pretty much all black, black schlappen, black rabbit strip with the red eyes is really nice. White with the pearl eyes. Like I said, there's a rusty brown that I got in the works here. I haven't done one yet, but I got a color. I've got the materials in that picked out for that one. But like I said, this particular in the olive and the tan has been the most successful, and I've had requests to tie these over the last couple of years. Particularly, it seems like they've gotten caught on a bit for the big brookies, particularly in Labrador. As you can tell from the 2 other videos I've done, and this one, of course, these flies are not really, it's not the type of thing you're going to throw it into the small ponds here in Newfoundland. So the flies that I've been doing and will continue to do for the next while, for sure, will be ones unique to myself. The ones that, for the most part, have come up with myself in Labrador, and we'll do those. And hopefully each fly will present maybe a little bit of a trick, whether it's eyes or whether it's style of fly, whether it's hook riding up or riding down, or utilization of materials that you don't typically see on a lot of flies, at least here on the island. That's sort of what I'm shooting for with these videos. And then as we move along, I'll get into the more traditional flies here. I don't tie a lot of small trout flies anymore. I kind of got away from it. I stuck with mainly streamers and things, and streamers and sculpins and muddlers and all that kind of stuff. So I'll stick with them. But like I said, I'm busy tying salmon flies and bugs and bombers and all that stuff as well, and I'm sure. And there's a lot of great tires out there and a lot of great videos already out there for those type of flies. And I'm not saying I won't do them later on, but I'm going to start with these type of patterns. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more, or just, hey, subscribe. I'll try to get one up every week. I'll try to, get a different pattern up every week. I've got a couple of streamers in the queue there that I'll probably be tying next. Traditional streamers, I guess you call it, the way I do them. So that might be the next 1 or 2 videos. And then I got a few more patterns similar to these, but again, showing different techniques and different styles. I've got in the works as well in terms of doing videos on many of these patterns that I got in. I've tied a number over the winter here, but I haven't got a whole lot left, so I'll tie up a few for sort of for samples, and then I'll demonstrate one on the videos. Okay, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it, and please subscribe. Thanks. Bye.